All right, let's do it. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So, thank you for everyone who has sent in their business cases. Thank you also for anyone that sent in their reviewed business cases with actual feedback. I have not reviewed the reviews, definitely not. One thing I will say is it is very clear that a lot of our groups are not asking stakeholders for information. And that's like a big problem, right? They're assuming a lot of the stuff. Even after the original review, when I said we will be charging people, they came out with the same business case that said this is actually an event where we will not be charging anyone for anything. We're just doing it for brand awareness. And I was like, where did that come from? So there has been quite a few little things like that have come out. So one, please do read actually the feedback, because I'm about to send the same feedback basically of a lot of the business cases. So one, I would take that as personally. Let's say if you send me a review and in the business world, if you sent me a review and I felt like you did not include the feedback, I'm not even wasting my time reading it. Because even as I'm reading some through the reviews, I'm like, but I've said in the original feedback, right? So please do make sure definitely to revisit the feedback and just see what needs changing. If you are not sure about the feedback, it links to the point of ask for clarity. Do not assume. Do not ever assume anything in this world, because it doesn't work like that. And business case is never a just your document. It's basically a document from everyone in your team. So you guys are just basically creating business cases out your head. And in project management, that's the biggest mistake, because you don't do nothing. There's not a single thing in project management that you will do by yourself. Project management is not a solo journey. Project management is not an individual work. And the teams that I have currently, actually a lot of them come from BAU, where they are used to a lot of solo work. That's why they're not collaborating and stuff. Project management is not solo. If you feel like you can't do that and you want to be solo, I suggest looking into other parts. For example, project planners sometimes tend to be tiny bit less communication. But again, for them to create a magnificent plan, you're going to have to communicate with people, right? So definitely have a reflection point, because even when I'm saying that you guys should have communicated, oh, but I don't want to communicate, I don't want to ask questions. I swear to you, project management is then not for you. So be realistic with yourself in this journey, right? If you feel like, no, I don't want to talk to this, I'll do everything, I know everything, you'll fail in project management, you'll fail the team, you'll fail the project, and you're going to waste everyone's time. So that's just one thing that I did notice. However, I am still very impressed with a lot of the business cases, and it's like, look, we're doing a whole session based on some research a business case did today, right, on the skills gap. So thank you, Svetlana. I believe it was Svetlana's team that mentioned it. I believe so. If not, my bad. So yeah, that's one thing. And if you actually joined Paul Kelly session last Thursday, when did we do it? We spoke about change management. One of the questions I asked Paul was, what is one of the reasons projects fail? And he also actually mentioned is incorrect requirements management as one of the biggest reasons why projects fail. So I was like, oh, this links in nicely into requirements gathering today. So when requirements are unclear, incomplete, or poorly prioritized, do you know what happens? Shazza, I should have hit it. What do you think happens when the requirements are not prioritized? Actually, we should have really went into what requirement gathering is first, isn't it? I guess, what do you think requirement gathering is? Put into the chat what you think requirement gathering is. If any, we'll take one person if you want to add in. What do you think require? Oh my God, wait. Guys, I feel like I'm showing you so many answers. What do you think requirement gathering is? A good point people can do is apply one of these method businesses, apply for themselves. Ask yourself, how do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years' time? Be rough with the question, pay attention on the answers, and the picture will get clearer. Definitely. I think that's one thing I even noticed as well during the 5-week course. People don't know what roles they want to go for. People don't know. People are just so desperate for a job. People don't. People didn't even bother freaking looking at what project management is. Because if you're asking me about like what is RAID and you're applying for project manager jobs, with all due respect, my guy, you jumped the gun. And what do you mean you're applying for senior project manager, but you don't know what RAID is? So that's one thing I learned actually, that people don't even know what they want to achieve, and people don't even put in the effort. What did Shibby say? Requirements gathering in project management is the foundation investigation process of identifying, documenting, and validating stakeholder needs, business goals, and technical specifications of the project. Yes! You should Google that. That's a really good answer. Requirements gathering is a process of identifying, collecting, analysis, and documenting what stakeholders' needs are for a project. So, you guys just exposed each other. This is a sentence you both copied from the same place together. This is the same, because look, it's the same sentence. You're telling me your brains came up with the same sentence at the same time. Don't lie to me. Is listing, clarifying, and writing down exactly what the needed is before you start doing the work, so you don't waste time, money, and effort building the wrong thing. I love that. I love that. Do you know what gave away that you copied and pasted it? Is the fact that there's some words bolded. I know when you was writing in this team chat, you didn't bold them yourself. I don't even know if you can bold stuff in the chat. No, you cannot. You guys are getting exposed, but well done, because that's one thing. When we're not sure, let's clarify what it is, whether it is our research, whether it is asking questions. So well done, lovely. That was good. A lot of exposure. So when the requirements are unclear, incomplete, or poorly prioritized, we actually build something that doesn't solve the problem. Stakeholders basically end up saying, that's not what I meant. Scope keeps changing. Scope essentially means what is the project supposed to deliver. Budgets increase, timelines slip, and adoption becomes really, really difficult. So projects actually rarely fail because teams didn't work hard enough. They fail because we agreed to deliver the wrong thing, or we never truly delivered, or we never truly agreed at all. That actually is a big thing. You have to get your requirements signed off, because right now we're having a back and forth. They're technically saying that changes, but technically it's not changes, it's missed requirements. The difference is a missed requirement is we told you we want this requirement delivered, but you didn't do it. Whereas a change is we didn't tell you we needed this requirement, and now we are telling you. So that's why you want to sign it off to avoid a whole people missing out. And actually, this is why actually today will be a call session, and it is actually the next step after business case in the real world scenarios. Well, it should actually be PID, but as we mentioned, project initiation documentation, some business cases are so hefty they become the PID. So in real world, it will be project mandate, business case, PID, or it might just be project mandate, business case, hefty one, and then requirements gathering. So again, it's just, because again, in theory, they would have told you this, but then again, it's only one organization where we actually had PIDs and business cases. The rest is all being just business cases. Oh, actually, one organization only had PID. So their PID was basically a business case. So long story short, it's one and the same, because, well, business case is high level overview, whereas PID really goes into the detail. But as you guys saw, the business case you guys did, it was pretty detailed. So it kind of ended up replacing a PID. Sorry, confusing. We did it like that on purpose because, well, it works like that in reality. And again, before we move away from business cases, there's no such thing about wrong or right business case. We really need to find out the standards required by your project. If there is no standards, well, at least you got a great example from what we did, right? So, like I said, what even might be called. So this is where you find out from your governance team, from your PMO, or just your central team. If you want to submit a project, how do I do the business case? Do you have a template? What is the process? That's the most important thing, because organization from organization has been all different before my life. So there's no right or way. There's no right or wrong BC. It's right or wrong BC for that organization. We will also go back a lot of times before it's approved. I mean, I'll probably just review it one more time after you guys give me feedback, and then you can go work on it, but I'm not going to review it again and make you go back and forth. But sometimes we go back and forth for like, sorry, Mom's frying something and I feel the smoke. So she must be getting, oh my God. You know the Lithuanian foods. Oh my gosh. Guys, I feel like I can't breathe. Can my mommy breathe up in here? Sorry. It's really taking me. This is a health hazard. Whew. Okay, let's go. I can breathe now. So yeah, we would go up back and forth a lot of the times before it's approved. Remember, we discussed route of authority. Route of authority means what places would we take the business case to basically get approved on. So every time you take it to a new forum, they will have a different scrutiny, different scrutinizing level, and they'll also have different areas of scrutinizing. So for example, if you go to finance, they're really gonna scrutinize like a lot of your financial stuff. Whereas if you went to like the top level, they obviously want to also know how is this linking to the strategic objectives. So you will get scrutinized from different perspectives, from different stakeholders that have different important, I guess, needs for the business case. And yeah, so if I told you the project is a house, what would you deliver? You can have a one-bedroom house. You can have a no garden. You have a big villa. Is there a pool? Do we need a kids' room? Do we need a kitchen? Do we just need a tent? This is what requirements gathering provides. So we know with Global Project Management Summit, we know that the project is to deliver a summit. But what does that mean? So as different stakeholders, what different needs do we have? As a owner, what need do I have for this summit? As a user, what need do I have for this summit? As a speaker, what need do I have for the summit? And then to be fair, the way you can break down your stakeholders, it really depends. It really depends on the project. You might do it person per person. You might do it team per team. So again, the way you categorize those users, essentially, it depends. So I don't know if you guys have, hopefully one thing that you're picking up is there's no such thing as the right way in project management. It depends on your project, on your size, on your organization, what it's trying to achieve. Is it a change project? Is it a BAU project? It really depends. And the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this experience is tailor it. Tailor everything for your projects. I hate when I join an organization, they're like, we're waterfall, we're agile. One thing is, no, they're freaking not, and it always ends up being mixed. Two, why choose? Pick the best of both worlds. So one thing I want you to take away is tailoring. Even if they ever ask you a question, what's your preferred methodology? Well, you can go through the different methodologies and why you feel like they're useful. However, one of your biggest answers should be as well, there's no such thing as the perfect methodology. It's the methodology, the hybrid methodology that fits the best for that project. Or it might not even be a hybrid methodology that fits the best. That's big thing, tailor. What the shitty guys, I don't sing shivy song anymore because she said my questions are stupid to the business case. That's what she told me the other day in the meeting.
Come on.
And you see the way she's laughing?
So loud. I didn't say it was stupid. My question, I said probably was stupid.
Nice.
Guys, she said the questions were stupid. Who was on the call? Abby was on the call. Abby, tell the truth. But yeah, like shivy, yeah. Well, I made a remix. Shivy, yeah, broke my heart. Yeah, shivy broke my heart.
I meant the question she was gonna ask. She's just like she doesn't know. It might be stupid, but not your question.
Abby, you're encouraging toxic behavior. Both of you guys are bad from happiness from me. So anyways, she broke my heart. But like,
no. That's the anthem song for the Project World Takeover event.
I'll forgive you if you bring us like 100 members. You'll get back into my heart. But until then, no. But yeah, like Shibi Broke My Heart said, tailoring is really key. Tailor your templates, tailor. That's another thing. Yesterday, someone actually messaged me at work. It's really cute. I'm becoming like an expert in project management at work. Someone was like, they recommended I can actually come to speak to you how I should do this plan. So when we even went through the plan, I was like, well, but you really have to find out what the team needs. And you know, what is the team's need? It's not all about these documents or artifacts. It's what we do with it. What discussions do we drive? What decisions do we make? So stop thinking that this is just a business case. No, this is actually not a business case. This was you communicating with different people in the business to find out what is going to be useful for this project. Why is it worth doing that project? Business case is just a document. It's those other things that it opens. And it's the same thing for requirements gathering, right? I basically say it's like a wish list from your stakeholders. It's like a Santa list. So basically, it's not just filling out a template, it's a structured conversation. That's another thing people just think. It's a template, it's not a document. It's the ability to speak to your stakeholders to find out what problems are we solving, who is impacted, what success looks like from their perspective, what the most, and essentially it's a list from each stakeholder and their prioritizations of the wish list. Because trust me, one thing they'll think everything is a must-have, and I swear to God they think we're magicians. The things that they think we just can come and deliver everything. So that's where you will come in, because every single group you speak to of the needs will think they're the most important for this project. They'll think all their requirements are the most important. So then after you get all the requirements, you're gonna have to, how do you take 100 must-haves and see which one is a must-have from your perspective? That's basically where it is. If you do skip depth here, if you assume you're gonna pay for it later in reworks, conflict, and lost trust, I mean, it's just chaotic right now. I'm going back and forth and basically saying, no, we had this as requirements. They're like, no, we didn't have it as requirements. And even now, we are buried basically in change requests, but not because we need changes. Remember what I said, the changes, well, it's like you didn't know it needed, versus a missed requirement is actually you just didn't get it. So we are buried right now in change requests, but not because we need changes, but because we missed the requirements. Why did we miss the requirements? The team had like 3 days to come back with requirements. That's not long enough for such a huge, big project. Freed, and think about it, we're humans. How many times have you said, yes, this is what, have you ever said to your mummy or your boyfriend or your friend, like, yes, can you get me from the shop? An hour after, like, oh my God, I actually forgot, and it's too late. We're human. We're not going to remember everything that we need from our perspective. A lot of the time requirements end up coming back when it's like they're using something like, oh yeah, also I need to use this. So that's actually why we miss a lot of the requirements, because they gave them a few days. And it's really, yeah, like we said, it's at the end of the day, we're human, right? And usually I do workshops per area. So I do like finance, HR, you can do it per roles. One of the big reasons you don't want to do them together, they start thinking there's a competition. They trying to say how their requirements are the most important. What I would recommend is doing it alone. And then if you feel like you're struggling with prioritizing, that's when you can have another session where you basically, rather than talking about requirements, is prioritizing it together as a team. But again, it's a little bit of a touchy subject because everyone thinks their areas are the most important. So who actually owns the requirements? This is actually a business analyst activity. This is pure business analyst. If you guys don't know the difference, project managers deliver the projects, PMO govern the governance of the projects, change managers ensure the change is communicated effectively and people know why it's needed. Whereas business analysts identify the business needs, and then throughout the project, they are the people that are supposed to be like, whoa, your project is not aligning with the business anymore. So they're the middle person between projects and business. I really like business analysts. I actually started as a business analyst, but I had a plan not to go into business analyst, and I really liked it. But because project management was my passion, I end up saying, I can't do it. However, if you feel like project management stuff is too project managerial for you, business analyst is a perfect role to kind of be in between the two. And yeah, however, in reality, project managers define the scope and delivery boundaries. Change managers can identify impact and adoption risk. Program managers align to strategic outcome. Product owners prioritize value. Even I, as a PMO, have done requirements gathering before. So again, I just think it's a crucial skill that everyone should have. I think all of these things we are talking about, I am at the point where I don't believe they're just a career. I believe it's a crucial life skill. One of the things Paul mentioned on the guys, she's trying to take me out. That's how I don't know how she's breathing in the kitchen. Sorry. This is probably, oh my God. It came really bad. Just I burnt something. Sort of Lithuanian frying shoes, man. Oh my God. But yeah, so essentially, I think everything is a skill, including Paul the other day. He mentioned change management actually being a crucial life skill. And if you would have read the post for after the change session, you'll see actually we noticed that we said it in there as well. Change is actually a life skill and a skill for all these roles. And it's the same with business analysts. As a PMO, I use business analyst as a skill. I use project manager even as a skill. I use change manager as a skill rather than my career. So again, I think the more of these that you know, the easier your life becomes. And as I mentioned a lot of times in oh my God, I was trying to kill a Lithuanian child. This should be illegal. And make sure you have water to hand. No, thank you, Shivi. You broke my heart, but at least you're looking after my lungs. And as we mentioned many times, project management essentially is such a young industry. Our roles are not as should be. So you always overlap and do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Right now I'm doing solution architect, change manager. It's so funny. The other day I was like, we was going through stuff and I was like, oh my God, I picked up quality assurance too. My boss was like, by the end of this project, your CV is gonna look crazy. So in reality, you always end up picking stuff, especially if they know your value, especially if they know you can do it. That's how I went and done stuff way beyond my level of experience because, well, once they see you can do everything, and that's one of the big things that I got from the transformational lead when I left one of the banks. She said it's just so interesting how every single thing we gave to you, even if it's so outside PMO and governance, you would just go and do it and you would do it so well. Like, apparently there's not a lot of people like that, but that's why I got value. That's why right now my contract is getting extended for the 4th time in Royal Mail, right? When people know your value and what you bring, that's, yeah. So the big thing is as well, if you're accountable for delivery, you're accountable for clarity. So this is never just a BA's job. And if you feel like your BA is not doing the right requirements gathering, you need to step in because trust me, there's going to be a disaster for your project. So outcomes incorrect requirement management causes failure. Let's be clear about the link, right? So poor requirement conversations, misunderstood stakeholder needs, wrong and incomplete solutions, rework and change requests, delays and cost overruns. So if you miss something crucial and you can't go live with it, you're going to have to still do it and you might have to delay the project if you find out really late. Frustration and resistance and frustration within the team, especially the team that feel like missed the requirements, especially the team that feel like they provided the requirements. And if you knew how many times I've been in this requirements document to be like, here, look, this was a requirement, you'll be shocked. And it does increase loss of confidence because you feel like, like we didn't do the requirements gathering correctly. So now we're going through all these changes, we've got all these delay. And to be fair, it can really link to project failure. If you miss, especially a must-have or like a legal requirement or a safety requirement, it's actually not even just a project failure. You could kill someone. You could actually kill someone by missing a requirement. And I know you might think that's exaggeration. Of course, it's not going to happen, let's say, if you work in banking. But if you work in construction and you miss a requirement, you can legit lose someone's life. So hopefully you understand how important requirements management is. And you know, some of the missed requirements made us feel like the whole project is gonna go. And as a result, we end up having a lot of stress and a lot of workarounds and stuff like this. So 0 out of 10, do not recommend missing your requirements or not getting them, getting the wrong requirements, because yeah. So the more of them you can't miss, what I wanted to say, the easier your life will be. And also, all we really care about is the must-haves. So if you are going through this and you're the one providing requirements, if it's something you really need for your project, if you put as a could have, yeah, could have had it in your past life, you're not going to get it. All we focus on is must-have. Budgets are so squeezed, and that's why actually most of the time ends up being must-have versus nice to have. Finance will be like, is it a must-have? Is it a must-have? Nice to have. Forget it. So if you do want your requirements to go through, you have to know how to make sure that it's a must-have for you. And I mean, be realistic, right? If you can't justify being a must-have, you know. And also, if we don't manage requirements properly, we introduce big risks at the foundation, and you cannot build on stability and unclear expectations, right? So we like to do this whole thing like, oh, my role is more important. So we had a little bit of a joke with Paul the other day, like, oh, change manager role is more important. However, it is true, right? If essentially we end up missing the requirements, there's no change to introduce. And as we mentioned, different stakeholders will have different priorities. So finance wants cost control, IT will want stability, operations want efficiency, leadership want strategic alignment, and users want usability. If you only listen to one more issue, it creates imbalance, and you also forget. And also, every single person is going to think they're the most important. So it really exists to surface competing priorities, make trade-offs visible, clarify what truly is critical. Our role is actually not to please everyone here, and this is where you will upset some people. Our role is to create clarity and alignment and to deliver a project that meets a goal, not deliver something that's not needed. So we got functional versus non-functional requirements. Functional requirements essentially describe what the system must do. For example, the system must generate monthly reports, whereas non-functional requirements describe how it must perform. Must load within 2 seconds, must meet compliance standards, must support 500 concurrent users. So actually, many project issues happen because non-functional requirements are not discussed early enough, and I feel like we never do a good enough job between the two. Performance, security, compliance, these are often all assumed, but they're not specified. And guess what? Like I said, assumptions are the biggest risk that you can have. Have you got any questions so far of what is requirements gathering, and is it making clear why we do it? Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So, Moscow prioritization. I told you when you have requirements gathering, you're going to have to prioritize them because everything is important to everyone. So, Moscow prioritization essentially is a discipline of decision making. This has actually came from Prince 2. Prince 2 loves Moscow, and guess what? Everything can't be a must have. Moscow forces clarity, right? So, must haves anything critical to success or compliance. Should have, important, but workaround exists. Could have, adds value. Won't have for now, explicitly out of scope, or we'll call it basically into backlog. Moscow allows us to protect the project from scope creep, political pressure, emotional prioritization, and hidden expectations as well. So if stakeholders resist prioritization, this is a warning sign, not an inconvenience. Prioritization is leadership. Like I said, if you're struggling to tell me why this is a must-have and you can't back it up, then it's clearly not a must-have. And also, as mentioned in the business case overview, everything basically ends up being a must-have versus nice to have. We do it, but it ends up being, okay, but is that nice to have? Nice to have just means, well, it'd be nice if this was all cute. And finance would be like, nice to have. You don't need it to access the money. Forget it. You don't need it. And to be fair, never let finances are nice to have if you want something. We don't live on nice to haves. Or is this PTSD? Like, has anyone ever delivered something a nice to have on the project? Let me know, because at this point I'm looking at you the same way I look at mermaids and Bigfoots, because that would be so interesting that they did allow you to go beyond the must-haves. Because usually they don't even give us enough budget or money or time or resources to deliver the must-haves, let alone the nice-to-haves and could-haves. So, of course, we'll be using Jira. I told you guys, we'll be really using Jira from now on. And what we're going to create is epics, right? So if you guys remember in Jira, we had epics. These are going to be business objectives. These are going to be essentially business objectives. We're going to write user stories. So I don't remember if you remember when we kind of went through Jira, essentially every requirement should be, as a owner, I want to sell tickets. As an owner, I want to know how many people registered to the thing. Or actually, not an owner, as business. We say, as a business, I want this. Then you would have another one. As a user or as an attendee, I want to have digital goodie bag. You know, as a speaker, I want to know when is my agenda. Is these different things. And we're actually going to add acceptance criteria in there as well. So one thing is, requirements gathering can be very oblivious, I guess. Oblivious, is that the word? Don't know if that's the right word. But what does it mean? If I tell you, go and build a house, but I don't tell you what acceptance is, how many rooms is it, how many PAL, how do you know how that I accepted it? So essentially you want to make it clear. So for example, as a speaker, I want to know the agenda. Acceptance criteria would be, here's the attached agenda. Does that make sense? Would you say requirements gathering is a process similar to generating as is and to be document for a project? So I feel like, right, usually, to be fair, we do it maybe a little bit after, but again, I do actually see how that could steer conversations, because if I show you the as is model and we create a to be model, we can essentially then see what requirements is done. So it's not similar, but it's also another business analyst method tool that they use. And essentially basically what it says is, this is the process that we have right now, this is the process that we want to get to. So sometimes what we basically do is create it as is, do requirements gathering, from that requirements gathering then do the to be, rather than do the as is, do the to be, and then do the requirements gathering. Because how can you design the to be process if you don't know what your stakeholders need? So not the same, but they're cousins, and they're business analyst babies. We're also going to capture what is functional versus non-functional requirements in our requirements gathering. We're going to apply Morse code to it. We're going to rank backlog items, probably a little bit after the first thing. But remember, Jira will never solve with ambiguity. Structured conversations do. The tool will capture decisions, but it does not create clarity. Most of the time, it's also actually done in Excel. Boom. But if you can do it in Jira, you will essentially need the columns that we need to put into the Excel anyway. So different critiques from different perspectives. As a business analyst, if the requirements are vague, unvalidated, and not prioritized, that is a failure analysis. A strong BA will challenge assumptions. Everything is a must-have for your stakeholders. You're going to have to find a way to prioritize them. They also probe the underlying needs. So actually, sometimes you'll speak to people and they'll be like, I don't need anything. And you're going to have to prompt a conversation or show them maybe the as-is model to be like, are you sure you don't need anything? Because I thought in this as-is model, this would have been a requirement for you for the future. So you're going to have to use models like as-is or information or PowerPoints or discussions, or at least what you can actually do as well is provide them with some with some what's the word, with some discussion points, what you think a must-have is from different perspectives, and then they can validate it. So yeah, Shivi, your camera is on, by the way, just in case you didn't know. And it really identifies conflicting priorities. I've done that at work actually one time. I was pissed. And if everything is marked as a must-have, BA should challenge that. As a PM, if the scope keeps shifting, it often links back to unclear requirements. A strong project manager should ensure the scope is baseline, protect agreed priorities, and escalate when trade-offs are unclear, and link requirements to delivery impact as well. If requirements are unclear, the delivery risk is high. Why? Because, well, if you didn't get what we need to do, how can you manage the delivery if we're not delivering the right thing we needed to deliver? That's why everything in project management, there's not even a role that's more important than the other, because everything ends up blinking. If this is not done, this person can't do this. And all of these things. So as an entry-level professional, you might think requirements gathering is a senior level work. Sometimes it is. However, it's not all the time. Is listening carefully, is asking clarifying questions. I'm frozen. Am I frozen for everyone else? Let me. Not frozen? Okay. Sorry, Shivi. It's just you because you broke my heart. Now you don't get to see me. That's why. So next time, think. And you really want to ask questions that, can you explain what you mean? Do not assume, do not just go with it. And your value increases when you reduce ambiguity, right? Never assume, understanding, always validate. This is going to be probably, maybe that should be the project will take over slogan. So what I want you to take away, requirement gatherings is not just paperwork, it's not just documents. It's risk reduction, it's expectation management, alignment creation, value protection. If we manage them correctly, reduce work, we improve stakeholder trust, we increase adoption, we deliver outcomes, not just outputs. If we manage them incorrectly, we may deliver on time and on budget, but still fail and have a project that doesn't meet its needs. So now quickly what I want to go through is the different aspects. But you know what I realized, did I confuse myself? And we started going through Jira, but hopefully because everyone here is from the 5-week course, so at least you're already aware of Jira. Is everyone aware of Jira already? Yeah. If you're not aware of Jira already, what I'll do is I'll share some videos when we end up going through it. Essentially, Jira is a project management tool where you can manage everything from risks to plans to requirements gathering to budgets. Like, you can use it for anything that you need. So when we're going to create an epic, essentially what's going to happen is we're going to have epics, stories, and subtasks to achieve them. Probably actually not subtasks. It depends how you guys want to break it down. I'll leave that to you to decide. So epic is basically something that we're going to link to a business objective. So now don't confuse yourself. Remember, this is not going to be the same for, let's say, plans. Epics are not business objectives for plans. For plans, epics are big milestones. So also do not confuse yourself and now start thinking that every epic you see is a business objective. No, only for requirements gathering it is. So when we create a epic, we're not writing a task, we're defining a meaningful business outcome or capability. It should answer what major outcome are we trying to achieve, what business problem are we solving, what value will it unlock. It is big, it spans multiple user stories, and it cannot usually be delivered in one sprint. So think of the epic as a container for related requirements put together to deliver a business objective. For example, improve customer onboarding experience. This is not technical, this is not a task, that is an outcome. And epic should align to strategy, benefits, and measurable improvements. One of our epics will be increase confidence. That's an epic. That's a strategic alignment that we have. We want to increase confidence. That will be an epic. And then we'll break it down. What does that mean? So one of the ways we should say is, as an attendee, I want to realize how I already got a lot of project management skills that are required. As an attendee, I want to realize my value is way beyond. And that's when we'll go with the acceptance criteria for that will be the whole transferable skills exercise. because that will be part of the summit. You see how that is the acceptance criteria. So the epic was, I want to increase my confidence. One of the requirements, one of the stories was, as a user, I want to know I am already amazing. Acceptance criteria. Here's how you actually find out how you got so many skills that you do not know. Does that make sense from our project's perspective? Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I'll take silence. Speak now or hold forever. Is that what they say? So common mistakes is perfect. Thank you. Shivi broke my heart. Shivi broke my heart. Common mistakes that we have, especially for new PMs, new professionals, and to be fair, people that already work in project management, because like I said, we don't have that many amazing project management professionals. Build a login page. That is not an epic. That is a feature or a story. If your epic sounds like a small technical activity, it's way too small level. Our epic should be essentially a big strategic thing. What was one of the other ones? Increase people's awareness of project management, increase project management knowledge, like all of these things. So as we mentioned, user stories will essentially be capabilities from user perspective. So from the user, I'm not even going to say user, attendee perspective, business owner, speaker. Users should sit under Epic and they should describe specific functionality needed to deliver a larger project. They answer who needs something, what do they need it, why do they need it. Actually, that's true. I didn't say the full-on story. So as an attendee, I want to know how many skills I have so that I can go for promotion. So can you see how that's breaking down? This forces clarity and it makes it so much easier for people who are then creating plans to know exactly what we're doing. So under the improved customer experience, onboarding experience epic, as a new customer, I want to upload documents online so I do not have to visit the branch. So you see, as a new customer, upload documents. Maybe I can do it. Oh, upload documents. Why? To avoid visiting the branch. Can you see how that's kind of breaking it down into 3? So that's how I want your ones to look like. Tangible, deliverable, testable. And writing stories like system must allow ID upload. It removes the user. Who is it that cares about it? Who cares about ID upload? That will be a big thing because some of your stakeholders' priorities will overtake it. So for example, we probably would overtake the user requirements. Actually, I don't know anymore. I think it depends on the requirement, to be fair with you. And it keeps us focused on outcomes and not just outputs. As I mentioned, we want to have acceptance criteria. So definition of what is the done story. This is where many projects fall down. Acceptance criteria defines what conditions must be true for this story to be considered complete. Trust me, I feel like we lack of it and we don't really focus on it. And that's why we're having so many pickles. What does done actually mean? Without acceptance criteria, developers can interpret it differently, testers test differently, stakeholders expect something else, and disputes can happen at delivery. It removes ambiguity. So for example, acceptance criteria for ID upload story is now you can upload PDF or thingy files for ID. You can say acceptance criteria is the file size limit. You could say upload confirmation message is displayed. Error message appears for unsupported formats. Uploaded document is now stored securely with the compliance, So now the requirement becomes measurable. Hopefully you guys saw it, how we can test it, validate it, and confirm that it's actually met our expectations rather than assumed. It's a big thing. This assumed thing is coming back a lot, right? This will also make your life easier during audits and conflicts, as one thing will always remain the same. If the team can't deliver the requirement, they will make you feel crazy and say that they never knew the requirement existed. That's why you want to provide evidence that actually it was required. If the requirement was missed, then we go into the whole why did we miss it, etc. So I went into the key differences. You guys can see what from the different perspectives and everything like this. So the new thing is, for new project management professionals, just remember one thing. Epics are not about why. The epics are about why. User stories are about the what. Acceptance criteria is how we know it's done. If you can clearly separate those three levels, you already are ahead of many projects. So Project Management Global Summit, what are some requirements different niche stakeholders would need? As there's literally 1,000 a million times ways we could deliver the summit. I also don't remember if I set this up through the free version, or if we're going to get kicked out in a few seconds. So let's see. Hopefully not. Did that make sense to you guys? Yeah.
Yes, it did.
It did? Okay, perfect. So we got a freaking session with Sammy. And because we got delayed by 20 minutes, that's literally the 20 minutes that would have nicely fit in me showing you how to use it in Jira. So let's do this. Start thinking about the requirements. I might do a mini little session to show you how to set it up in Jira, or do you guys want to go and try set it up yourselves? What do you think would be more fun exercise? You guys go and interpret what you know, how we use Jira and what you can do, and you set it up, or you would prefer me to show you how to set it up?
Set it up ourselves.
All right then. She has spoken. She has spoken. So let's do this then. I'll share the document with you guys. Start setting it up on Jira. Start doing your requirements gathering. I don't know if we'll give a week. Do you guys feel like having your requirements finished for next Saturday is feasible? I'll take that as a yes.
Skeleton? Maybe a skeleton?
It's a skeleton. Let's see how much we get up, right? Because I mean, we technically would love to jump into planning and stuff, because I don't know if you guys know, we ain't got that many weeks left anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't got that many weeks left, and that's actually a big reason why I had to start this overlapping with everything else that we was doing, because I was like, imagine if we just started this week. We don't have enough time. So yeah, so let's do it then. Let's see how it goes. If we are at a good stage next Saturday, we can wrap it up. If not, we'll continue for another week. Beautiful. All right then, my shivvies. Shivvies that love me and shivvies that broke my heart. Have a lovely weekend. If you are seeing me on Sammy's session, I am about to jump in there now to talk about the skills gap. And I forgot to prepare the presentation for it. I forgot to prepare the presentation. But I know what I want to talk about anyway. How did I forget? I was so excited.
You're probably thinking about me during that time.
Yeah, I was heartbroken, Shibby. I was crying last night instead of doing the presentation. I was soaking because you broke my heart. But yeah, all right, coolios. So if I see you on Sammy's session, literally it started 2 minutes ago, so see you there. If you got any questions, let me know. All right, bye my sweetie pies. See you. Bye.